Hey guys, what's up? This is Chaos here. I'm back here with another one. Now this is album review number 44, Napalm Death, Throes of Joy in the Jaws of Defeatism. Now I probably said that name pretty messed up or pretty wrong, but whatever. Let's get into the introduction. First off, I would like to start off to say with this album, it sounds a lot different from the more older slash popular stuff. This is basically to me like a more heavier, more modern day death metal version of Napalm Death. But they are basically one of the godfathers of grindcore in itself, which is mixed with punk and a few other things in death metal. But this is definitely deeper vocals and overall two times heavier, three times, four times heavier than their other stuff, typical stuff from back in the day. Now, with that being said, let's go into the first song, Fuck the Factoid. Now, this song is necessarily about not believing in the news slash government and what you basically see on the TV and what they just tell you straight off the bat. Now, factoid, if you don't know what it means, it's basically news or media for the most part. That's basically the definition of that. Now, this song has some shots towards COVID and ba- basically it's all fake. To me, for the thing about what the government does and what the media does is that they tell the truth. Yes, they do. But it's a sick, twisted lie they tell, necessarily. So, technically, it's true, but also at the same time, not really. The thing about it is that it's deceiving, like most of the things in life, necessarily. But the thing for me is that if COVID is real, to me, it's only partly real. And they call COVID deaths COVID deaths. Now, you can call it COVID deaths, and here's also one of the other deceiving things. A normal person can't die from COVID, just COVID alone, unless if you're like 90 years old or 80, something like that. It's very hard to die from COVID. Now, there's a lot of complications with COVID and those deaths, and they can technically call it COVID deaths because, yes, they had COVID while they died probably mostly from something else. So it's a really deceiving, twisted thing. But that's basically the meaning of this song, at least what I got out of it. With that being said, my personal number review of this song would have to be an 8 out of 10. But with that being said, let's go into the next song. Backlash, just because. Now you can tell a lot of these song names sound punkish still from what no from normal punk names of songs necessarily. But let's get into this meaning. This song is about the heightened paranoia with sexuality and a lot of other things that are a huge trend for society, especially in the United States now. Now, with that being said, we are on the verge of violence and riots, and we already are for certain things, but especially with sexuality and becoming transgender. But with that being said, I think it's really messed up how we have to really just argue about sexuality. You don't really see people going out and promoting, oh, let's be straight, let's be straight. You can be gay or be bi behind closed doors, and I don't see many people really promoting being straight necessarily. If you're gay, if you choose to be trans, that's cool for you. I don't have to agree or disagree, but personally, the thing with what screws with me necessarily is when they make it their whole lives. And as you can clearly tell by meeting a person, it's just written all over them, and everything they almost talk about is, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm bi, I want to be trans, I don't like being a girl, or I don't like being a guy. I want to be the opposite sex. They make it their whole lives, their whole personality. And that's following trends, and I've talked about that in other album reviews, following trends. In the Great Southern Trend Kill, fuck your trend. Be yourself. Be your own individual. Nobody has their own sense of individuality necessarily. But with that being said, my personal number review for Backlash, just because, is an 8 out of 10. But let's go into the next song, The Curse of Being in Thrall. Now, the word thrall to me, what it means is that a bunch of creatures or a bunch of people thriving in this disgusting state of form necessarily, a bunch of people. And the personal meaning I get out of this is that there's a bunch of people misguided, misleaded, and lied to, and they stay in the state of perfection, which is not perfection, but they think is good and they think is perfection, and it's really disgusting and terrible. And you can take that meaning and apply it to almost everything in 2020 with a bunch of different things. So everybody's following the same trends. It's very stupid. It's very dumb necessarily, and ignorant, following a trend, like I said before. Now, with that being said, my personal number review of The Curse of Being in Thrall is an 8 out of 10. Let's go into the next song, one of my favorites, Contagion. Now, I see necessarily that this song is personally about the world right now. Now, there's floods everywhere, there's violence everywhere, there's so many terrible things going on. It's like a contagion for everybody to be negative, even in your own family members, your own closest friends, even your next door neighbor is negative towards you. And it's really influenced by the media and all these terrible events, which are negative in a sense of themselves. It's like a contagion. It spreads and spreads, and everybody's negative. And we have this heightened sense of paranoia and violence. And we start killing each other, and it's happening in other countries, and it's even happening in the United States. Even within our own families. You hear about a son killing a dad. That happens. Or somebody's son killing their younger brother who's a baby. This is not new to us anymore. It's really not. And especially now, a lot of these screwed up things happen. It's like a contagion, and it's only going to get worse as time goes on and as time passes. That's basically the meaning I have gotten out of Contagion. Now, my number review of Contagion would have to be a 9 out of 10. Probably one of my favorite songs off of here. But my absolute favorite song is actually the next one and the last one I'm going to get into, which is called Invigorating Clutch. Now, this song is about the problem we have with immigrants necessarily, as what I see. Now, there's a lot of bombings and there's a lot of violence, like I said before, happening. So it's like a invigorating clutch towards these people in other countries, forcing them to move out, forcing them to do these things, forcing them to live a really sad life. And then they move to a country, and then we accept foreigners, and they get put into these camps necessarily, and everybody wants to go to America, everybody wants to be in America, everybody wants to live, breathe, smell, eat America necessarily. And we take in a lot of people, and it's really messed up, this world necessarily, and we have a huge problem, a huge humanitarian problem, a huge basically everything problem. But with that being said, these wars are necessarily pointless, and all the things we do is pointless. It's just negativity overall. It's a huge trend I've noticed in this album. Fuck trends, like I said. But with that being said, my personal number review of the song, of course, it's my favorite song off this album, which is expected to be a 10 out of 10. But with that being said, let's go into the last section of this album review, which is the extra information section. Now, this album was obviously released in 2020 if you didn't hear about it, if you are into metal or at least death metal or grindcore necessarily. Now, with that being said, they still have a similar vibe of their old material. You can hear it in the riffs, but they definitely are heavier, and I really like the progression they've had. Now, I like how they really changed their sound necessarily. After, in the 90s, death metal started getting really heavy and really up in your face, which is the point of metal, after all, is just to be emotional and up in your face, and as time moves on, it just keeps getting heavier and heavier. Now, there is a lot of metal I do not like, that I think is just complete bullshit, necessarily. Now, there's many genres I could go on and rant on, but with that being said, this is a really, you could call political album, necessarily, or a really album that just talks about modern day society and how screwed up and it is, and how the bullshit's being told to us, to our listeners. It's like I see this album a lot like the song "A Man in the Box" by Alice in Chains. If you know what that song means, you already know what I just meant there. With that being said, I really love this band, and sometime in the future I'll probably do one of their older albums. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and to always have a good one, to stay positive, and make sure to see through the bullshit. It's been chaos. Have a good one.